What is up, fellas? Welcome to another one of my expert guides here. This time, of course, with this beautiful game that is Rome Total War, we're going to be covering Egypt. And I mean, it's just one of the strongest factions in the game for a number of reasons. Crazy unit roster, no real challenge in the early game. High population, good temples. It has everything that you could really ever want in a faction. So we'll definitely get into really the starting position here, what you're looking to conquer in the early game, what units you want to go for, the roster, of course, the buildings, the first couple turns, what to prioritize, how to kind of micro your units to start off, because at the end of the day, these are what these guides are for. It's how you want to get better with certain factions if you're struggling on very hard difficulty. So of course, we're looking at very hard only. This is a guide. I mean, you can, of course, I've mentioned this in my other guides as well. If you want to play medium or hard, then hey, by all means, go ahead and do it. But you can definitely still watch these videos and learn something and apply that to your campaigns, even on lower difficulties. That being said, this is going to focus on the very hard style of gameplay for Rome Total War, which can be very different at times than like if you were playing medium or even hard. So take it with a grain of salt if you are playing on those difficulties, but still stick around. Should be a fun one here. You'll probably learn a lot of things about this game. So, Egypt, of course, has really strong starting settlements here. Has 6 total. And the unit roster description here is good spearmen and foot archers along with swift cavalry and chariots. And I mean, I think that's a great summary actually of what Egypt really is and what you should prioritize going forward. So let's get into it and visit the map here that you start off with. Okay, and something I do just want to mention too, just kind of recap about what we're really going to be covering, because I did fail to mention parts of it, is of course the unit roster, the buildings you can recruit, what to prioritize there, the starting positions, how to move about your armies, but also we're going to cover early game armies and late game armies for Egypt and how to manage those and win those battles. And then at the very end, of course, I'm going to basically give you a sneak peek about maybe what the pacing should look like once you kind of master this type of strategy in the unit comps and the economy of Egypt. So, with that being said, this is the map that you load into when you start off with Egypt here. Now, I put on the the Fog of War to kind of show you folks really the lack of an early game challenge for Egypt. You have Siwa here, just kind of sitting there, the Numidians. Don't even prioritize Siwa. It's not something you should be, aggressively going for. You'll get there eventually, but we have other things to prioritize here. You have just rebel settlements here, all to the east. You have the Nabateans, basically, over here in Dumath, Bostra, and Petra. You don't have to worry about that at all. These are kind of settlements that are pretty much very poor, kind of worthless for you. You don't want to commit units over here to these settlements in the early game especially. And then to the far east, you'll have Parthia. You don't really have to worry about those guys, but your main enemy in the early game is going to be the Seleucid Empire, eventually Pontus, and then we'll talk about this as well, but even the Greek cities. So I just wanted to show you that lack of challenge here, because you can really prioritize getting these settlements from the Seleucid Empire pretty easily and pretty quickly. So let's go turn off toggle foe here. And the first thing I want to cover here is the buildings that Egypt can go ahead and construct. The first of which I will go over is all the temples, because this faction for some reason has 5 different temples that you can recruit from, the most in the game. It's quite interesting. But let's go through the first one here, the Temple of Isis, and this one fucking sucks. It is probably the worst one that we can get with Egypt. It doesn't really do a whole lot for a reason I'll get to in a second, but it just provides happiness and then a population growth bonus. Osiris, on the other hand, just provides base happiness. It's better than Isis already, by getting more public order. But then Imhotep here is really what you're going to be looking for in towns that have low base fertility rate and also like under 2,000 people. Now, what do I mean by low base fertility rate? I'm talking like settlements that have, you know, Damascus, for example, like under 2,000. I'm talking Dumatho in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, right? Settlements that you need to get up to 2,000 to get to that large, town or even a minor city. Imhotep is really useful to bump up that population growth because it provides not only happiness, but also a health bonus. So basically, it does exactly what ISIS does, but better, because now it provides public order as well as population growth, because that's what these health bonuses do. It doesn't tell you, but health bonuses actually provide population growth at 1% if you have a 10%. If you have 20% health bonus, that's 2% population growth, and so on and so forth. And also, Osiris just provides 20 base happiness. Well, guess what? Imhotep does that as well. So basically, Imhotep is a combination of Osiris and Isis combined. It's just the better temple out of these three so far. So really, the only one you should be building so far is Imhotep. Now we go to Set here. This one's interesting because it mirrors the last temple I'm going to cover, Horus. And you can kind of see here both happiness and law. Happiness and law, going 10, going to 15, going to 20. So the only difference is going to be when you get a huge city. Set now provides 1% growth bonus, 10% health bonus, whereas Horus provides military bonuses. Now let me ask you this question, folks. If you have a huge city, do you want to prioritize getting more population? Why would you want to do that? There's no massive city, unless we want to create a mod for it. But my point is, this is worthless. This health bonus here and the growth bonus, you're getting an extra 2%. And all that's going to do is increase your squalor and make this city harder to manage and maintain public order at. So Set, in my opinion, is just never worth it, especially with these Nile cities that you have. I mean, the population growth in those settlements are going to be insane, especially Alexandria. So this is like the last temple that you want to be building when you get a huge city. So I wouldn't recommend it, and I just go for the nice and easy Horus here, because Horus is going to be your go-to temple for these cities, these large towns that don't really need to focus on a whole lot of population growth. Because at the end of the day, when you get that temple city, yes, it's only 50% versus the public order for 70%. So it does actually increase a bit more on the happiness range, but I still just don't think it's worth it at all, because it's going to get offset by the squalor from the population growth. And also, military, it's just better. You get cooler shit. Right? So you can combine that with the foundry, and then you have gold. I mean, that's kind of cool. Gold armor, gold attack. It doesn't have any experience temples, which does suck for Egypt. It's the one kind of knack I have on it. But really strong temples if you just focus on Imhotep for the people and the cities that need population growth. And then you focus on everything else with Horus. Simple. That's a recommendation going forward for Egyptian temples. Then, of course, we have these execution squares. It's your Colosseums. It's the same shit. You don't really have to prioritize all too much this type of stuff, unless you are kind of desperate to maintain public order. But at that point, maybe a couple peasants might be worth it, rather than wasting, a shit ton of construction turns for these execution squares. What I will say is this execution square in the minor city might be worth it for you. It's only 3 turns and it provides 10%. That's actually pretty decent. And it's law too, which is the better than happiness. So actually, something cool about this game that I didn't know until, a couple years ago actually, is law decreases corruption, whereas happiness just provides that public order. So getting law is actually better than happiness when we talk about the two. So execution squares is decent. Secret Police HQ, though, you'll notice it's only going to be 15, so it's only a 5% increase now in a 5-turn build. That's just not very worth it. And then 20%, the same story with the Secret Police HQ, or network, I should say, excuse me. And that's a 6-turn build. Becomes 5 once we take out a certain settlement. But I digress. And you folks know how I feel about academies. It's so overrated. You don't need to train your generals, guys, in cities. You should be training your generals by putting them in the field and conquering shit and getting traits and retinues that way. It's just better because you get more taxes by taking more shit. You get more trade by taking more shit. And you get more the ability to possibly recruit more military. I mean, everything is better than just sitting in a fucking city and building your scriptorium and being like, oh, yes, I know how to do mathematics now. Like, fuck off. It's stupid. It's not the way to play Rome Total War, folks. It's literally in the name. Total War. Don't put your generals in fucking scriptoriums and academies and the Ludus Magna. Oh, I understand philosophy now. I have Plato following me around. It's like, yeah, but you didn't do anything because you just sat there the whole fucking time and dicked around as armored hoplites were trained in Athens. Anyway, Egypt also has the ability now to get paved roads, which is good. Doesn't have highways. Rome is exclusive to highways, but it does have paved roads. That's always a plus. This can be a very good economic building here. And kind of comparing that to its counterpart about what you should build. It's always like, oh, should I build the market or the paved road, right? It's simple, guys. All you got to do, it's dependent on the town and city. Go over to your city. If you're trying to decide between a market or a paved road, click on this show settlement details. What happens if I do paved roads? Okay, went to 567. Market, went to 408. Let's do the paved roads. Because with paved roads, not only is it going to give us more income down the line, it's also going to help out our movement points with our armies. So it's a win-win. And that's how you decide whether or not to choose a paved road versus like a market building. In terms of the farms, you can do something pretty similar, but I'd really just focus on farms if you really just need income. The settlement is way okay with its population growth. And you also, or excuse me, not population growth. It's way okay with its public order, but it struggles with population growth. Then that's a good indicator to maybe build, some land clearance and communal farms, just to help out, get some income here, typically in the early game. Middle, late game, you don't really need to focus on farms all too much, because at that point you're going to be rich as fuck anyway, and you're going to be prioritizing this building here, the sewers and public baths, because the bonus there is they provide the health bonus that I was talking about before with the temples. It's just better than, base income farm and production here that the population growth bonus provides. So that's what you want to be prioritizing here over farms, typically speaking, unless, like I said, you're strapped for cash or you already have sewers and public baths built, and maybe you already built them and you still need population growth. So those would be the reasons to eventually build farms, but definitely focus on sewers and public baths really quickly, because you're Egypt, you're going to be rich very quick. And of course, ports and shipwrights. I mean, these are fucking amazing buildings, especially the shipwright. All you need to be doing is spamming triremes. It's a one-turn build still. So, and it's going to be a fantastic economic building, almost always. Never is it not, right? I mean, even with Alexandria, for example. Oh, we can't get it because it's still a city, but if you were to be able to build a shipwright, guarantee this trade would basically double. I mean, you probably want to prioritize shipwrights over things like paved roads and markets. So that's just my 2 cents there. But now if you look further up at the... I'm actually going to cover the military now. Or actually, let's do the walls first. Don't build walls, except for a palisade. Just to protect our settlement, making sure it doesn't get besieged and taken on the same turn. All walls are basically built for is to delay the enemy when your main army shows up. You should never be turtling and waiting for the attacking army to go ahead and besiege you, build us some freaking siege towers or battering rams, and then you have to defend the city. That should never be what you will do in Rome Total War. If you find yourself doing that and you're defending sieges, you're doing something wrong. First and foremost, your attacking armies should always be able to win the day against any attacking army. Meaning that if they besiege you, you should sally out immediately and just destroy them. Because the only other garrisons that you should really have is peasants. You should have attacking armies and peasants. That's it. And stone walls, large stone, I mean, these are just wastes of turns that you could otherwise provide economic buildings for or military buildings for. And public order. Walls do literally nothing for you except improve your defense, but even then, it's fucking worthless. You should build walls on the exception of you have nothing else to build and you just want to get the culture penalty out of the way. That's when they can become public order. But that is the only scenario, folks, where you should be building walls, is to replace culture. Or the wooden palisade to make sure it has some sort of wall to delay the enemy. That's it. Okay. So now we can really focus on the unit roster of Egypt. Now, this is where things get really interesting because they actually have a lot of options, and it kind of can be pretty tough for the average player to try to figure out what to do and what to prioritize because it is pretty big, and there's some pretty fancy and cool units that I will go over that actually fucking suck. So the first thing I'm going to go over here is the blacksmith and armorer. Because what this actually does for Egypt is it provides chariots on the blacksmith and then chariot archers for the armorer. Now I'll go over the Egyptian chariots first because this is available on the blacksmith. And this will become 13 attack, of course, because it comes with the blacksmith. So it's a 13 in one unit. But it has 3 hit points. The problem I have with this unit is 2. 1, it's a 2-turn build. That fucking sucks. Secondly, it's super squishy. They're tough for an average player to try to manage on very hard difficulty. You have to click around constantly. You should never be actually attacking a unit with Egyptian chariots. What you should be doing is kind of just clicking around the unit because they have the special attack. They just use their little spiky shit and they kill cavalry that way and also infantry sometimes. But if they get stuck, this unit dies in 2 seconds. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad. So on very hard difficulty, they can be heavily unreliable. The pathfinding in sieges is atrocious with this unit. Oh my god. They are useless in sieges. They're only relevant in open field battles to kill cavalry with, in my opinion, and maybe track down some missile units. You can try to pit them against infantry. If it's a phalanx, forget about it. And they can 1v1 generals, but the cost of that is going to be the whole unit probably. You know, like, it's just super squishy. Yes, it's gonna kill the general probably in like 5 seconds, but guess what? Half the unit's also gonna be gone in 5 seconds. So it's just not necessarily a good unit to focus on because you're gonna have 2 turns to build it, and there's gonna be other shit to want to prioritize. That's just my opinion on Egyptian chariots. Now, what I'll say about the armorer is this is where you can maybe justify building this unit because it's more versatile. It's kind of like a hybrid of cavalry and archers, I think. And the good thing about this unit is it is a 1-turn build, so you can justify this. Now it is going to be a 10 and 2 unit because remember it's an armorer, it comes with it, so it's going to have 10 attack and 2 defense. And this one you'll notice only has 2 hit points, not 3, so that is, you know, a bit of a downside here, a con to this unit. But the good thing is you will have some archers within this unit. Now it's not a whole lot of archers, right? It's only going to be 72 archers because you'll see here there's 108 soldiers. You have one guy in charge of the directions of the chariot, and he pulls off some pretty, you know, insane shit. Like, he will make a sudden turn very quickly. I don't really understand the physics behind that, but these guys are miracle workers. They're basically Jesus. So you'll have a lot of those. But then the other 2 guys are going to be your archer units. So that's going to be 72 units. And, quick math, folks. It's not as good as a bowman. Of course, it's less than half of a bowman unit in terms of the archer capabilities here. It's still something, though. And it's a 1-turn build. And you can also turn around and be like, hey, there's a cavalry unit. The general's coming. I no other, you know, fallback here. You can use the chariot archers to help kill the general or some other cavalry. I wouldn't recommend doing that. This is mostly just going to be for archers, and then if they need to be used, you can use them for melee. But I wouldn't recommend building this unit all too much because there's going to be, again, better units to recruit. That's just my opinion, and I'll get to why in a second. So, those are the chariots from the blacksmith and the armorer. Now I want to go over the practice range. You can get slingers or skirmishers. Wow, just truly amazing. Fuck off. I hate both of these units. Primarily because of their upkeep. If they had 100 upkeep, I could see this being like an effective unit in the early game. But 170 upkeep, it's stupid. Egypt, it doesn't really matter too much because their upkeep actually is, inconsequential. You're going to be rich really quickly. So I guess you can maybe build some skirmishers and slingers if you really want to, but just don't, guys. It's just not a good unit. You have so many better alternatives here. Slingers have slightly longer range, but only 4 missile attack. Skirmishers are closer range, 6 missile attack. They just don't provide what I want in a fast-paced Rome Total War battle. Their ammunition isn't a whole lot either. You have to get close to the enemy. It's just a whole lot of shit that it's. I don't think it's just a good unit. They're kind of just, okay, I'm going to throw a couple missiles. Oh, the enemy's attacking me. I got to fall back now and do nothing the rest of the battle. So that's my opinion on skirmishers and slingers. Look at the archery range. This is, of course, what you want to be prioritizing. So, bowmen, 7 missile attack, but again, it's 160 soldiers here. They're archers, guys. Build this unit. This is going to be a decent backbone of your army. And it just makes life easier. You can use bowmen to go ahead and draw people out of the town center. You can use bowmen to lure people out and just attack you in the open field. You can just whittle them down. In the early game especially, they're not going to have a whole lot of armor units with the AI. And something I'll mention here, you'll kind of find this out in a second. You have a lot of starting bowmen as Egypt, which is kind of crazy. Like, you have so many bowmen to start off your campaign with. And that's just a massive advantage. It's definitely the faction that has the most archers to start off with. Why? I don't know. It's like, do you really want to make a faction more overpowered? They found a way to do it. Yeah, just a great unit. Definitely prioritize trying to build archer ranges and bowmen here. So now we get to the catapult range. Onagers, been a broken record with these guys. Don't build them. They have slow movement points, and you just will never need them to have as a missile attack unit or to break down stone walls. Who the fuck cares? Just build siege towers, folks, or use your spies. I digress. I think I made my point there. And then we have this unit, Pharaoh's Bowmen. They're shiny. They're cool. But in my opinion, they suck. It's a 2-turn build. Yes, they have their long-range missiles. That's great. That's all well. That's cool. Yes, they have 10 missile attack. Again, very cool. It's +3 more than bowmen, but at the same time, your bowmen are going to be a lot quicker in terms of their recruitment. You get 2 bowmen for every 1 Pharaoh's Bowman. And also, these guys can gain experience pretty quick too. So that +3 attack isn't really, much of a difference. It has more, armor, which is good. So the bowmen will get targeted a bit and have a bit more losses if they get attacked by missile units, versus the Pharaoh's Bowmen can definitely kind of stand on their own here. I really see this as a problem against horse archers in terms of bowmen struggling versus Pharaoh's Bowmen. But at the end of the day, folks, just take the losses on the bowmen. You have 2 bowmen for every 1 Pharaoh's Bowman. I cannot stress that enough. It's just going to be more efficient. You can mass produce these fucks really quickly and just send them out to conquer the world. Whereas you can't really do it with Pharaoh's Bowmen, because also you can't really retrain these guys either. You need a catapult range. So that's the first requirement, is a large city. The second is having a catapult range to begin with. And they might not even have a practice range yet in the settlement that you just conquered. So, and even then, like with the starting settlements, to try to prioritize in like a large city, building a catapult range to get Pharaoh's Bowman is just never worth it, because you can already recruit bowmen. Why would you do that? Why would you upgrade to a catapult range first and foremost? And why would you now take 2 turns to build a Pharaoh's Bowman versus just getting 2 bowmen? Siege Engineer, you can build heavy onagers. Cool. Great. Awesome. Okay. That's what I'll say on the missile attack unit, excuse me, for Egypt. Now I want to get into the stable. And folks, this is, behind horse archers, the most OP stable for a faction in the game. This unit is fucking insane. And when I did my live stream with this faction, oh my fucking god, dude. Desert Cavalry is a crazy unit for a stable. This should not be allowed. It's just unfair. Now, at a first glance, you're like, okay, what the fuck? This is just 6 and 11. It's nothing crazy. Fast moving, great. Combat bonus in deserts, great. It's this stat right here, guys. Effective against armor. Think about what Desert Cavalry is primarily going to be fighting against. Well, folks, it's enemy generals. What do generals have a lot of? Armor. What do Desert Cav absolutely tear through? Armor. Need I say less? And something that also makes this unit even better, your generals, as Egypt folks, it's worth going through this now. Bring them out of the settlement here. Are going to be Egyptian chariot generals. Which means you can't really 1v1 a general on Egypt versus, you know, armored bodyguards or bodyguards that are just regular cav units. Because, like I mentioned before, it's going to be the same issue with the chariots. Yes, you can probably kill the enemy general pretty quickly, but your general has a very high likelihood of dying, and there's nothing you can do to like prevent that. You can't like micro where your general is, for example, like I do with other factions that are just regular general bodyguards. Because the chariot generals, you just kind of click around aimlessly and just kind of hope for the best. You know, these guys can die very fucking quickly, and you want your chariot generals to kind of just sit back and they're archers. Just let them fire away. That's the whole point of an Egyptian general. And so they provide missile attack in the early game for maybe early game armies that otherwise wouldn't have much of a missile attack. So that's super important. And this kind of helps out with that. And going back to the Desert Cav, you don't really have a general bodyguard unit that is cavalry to rely on and help out your Desert Cavalry when fighting enemy general bodyguards. So basically the Desert Cavalry will be basically fighting the battle against the bodyguards all on their own. But let me tell you folks, this unit is more than capable of doing that. My god. If you get a couple experience points on these bad boys, I mean, they're just infinitely better. Talk about like an 813 Desert Cavalry unit that's effective against armor. Forget it. Forget it. It's over. The battle was over before it started. That unit is insane. You should be spamming this unit everywhere. And if you look at the Cav stables, now we can get an upgraded Numidian cavalry. How underwhelming is that? 8 and 10, 6 and 11. So it's a +1 net on Nubian cavalry with good morale. But it's not effective against armor. So why would you ever build Nubian cavalry? It's just, it's fucking worthless. And then you have Nile cavalry. It's 8 and 13. Cool. Good morale again. So it's better than noobs by +3 on the total defense portion. But it's only a net +4 from Desert Cavalry. And you need elite cav stables to build it? Fucking what? Why would you ever do that? Don't build Nile cav. I don't even know if it's 1 or 2 turn build. Because it doesn't matter. It's just, it's worthless. It's worthless. And then camel archers. It's elite cav stables first and foremost. You can only build that in certain settlements, and it's just not going to be good in the middle and late game. You have desert cav, guys. That's all you need. It's just so stupid. The cav stables and elite cav stables for Egypt are completely worthless, and in my opinion, this makes the blacksmith and armor also worthless. Just build a stable. Just get desert cav and spam it everywhere. It's ridiculous. The last thing I'll go over is the infantry. This is important too, and why it makes Egypt even stronger than what it really is. I mean, my God. Okay, so first off, this is basically your militia hoplite unit, the Nubian Spearmen here. It's a 5 and 8 unit. It is what it is. It's poor morale. You have to babysit them. You're going to be using this army in the early game. That's just the reality. It's what you start off with. It's a phalanx unit. It's still decent. It's going to do the job. They should never really be attacking because you're going to have a lot of missile attack with Egypt. And that basically translates to luring the enemy out of town centers and sieges and then setting up your Nubian Spearmen to just basically run into the phalanx on the enemy's end. And then in open field battles, like use your, of course, missile attack to go ahead and just take out the enemy, have them maybe start charging your spears, but also you can use a desert cav on the flanks. Your noobs should just be sitting there doing nothing the whole battle and letting the enemy come to them. Because that's really all they're good for. If you ever try to get them on the attack, that turns into, sketchy territory here. Their attack is just so bad, they're just meant to hold the line, really, and try to kill some cavalry. Maybe a general or two, but they will take heavy losses. But they still will be able to do that. It's a good sacrifice unit, to be honest. Just be like, hey, I want to try to kill this general one at a time, march up the noobs, and just let them die one by one. But they will dwindle down the general bodyguard eventually. It's a good unit. It is what it is to start off with. You should never be recruiting this unit, though, ever in the future. Just use what you have starting out, because what I'll say, it's not hard, folks, to get a militia barracks and start getting Nile Spearmen. This is kind of like what the Bowman is, mass-produced unit on a large town scale. So militia barracks, this is a fantastic unit, and just spam this everywhere. It doesn't have poor morale now. It's a regular phalanx unit. It's 7 and 13. It does the job. And it doesn't need to be more than that. It's phalanx alone is already, miles better than a regular sword infantry in this game. And combine that with desert cavalry on the flanks, your Egyptian chariot generals shooting missile attacks, as well as your bowmen, and you just have the perfect composition. It's an insane unit when you factor everything else into play here.
Alrighty, folks, so you would assume after Nile Spearman it only gets better from there. So let's take a look at city barracks. And okay, you get this Desert Axeman unit. And my god, is this unit underwhelming. It's not a phalanx. It's 10 attack, 10 defense. Typically, when you see an Axeman unit, it's basically effective against armor. This one is not. It has good morale, not even good stamina. It's just a basic infantry unit. I got nothing else to say here. This is not worth it. It's 4 turns, 2,400 gold. Then you go from Nile to Desert Axeman. They literally have the exact same stats, right? If you add their attack and defense together. 20 total. Desert Axeman just have more attack and less defense, and they don't have a phalanx. And they have good morale. It's not a good unit to build at all. Don't build Desert Axeman. Just build Nile Spearmen if you have city barracks. And then we get to the army barracks, and we get to a very interesting unit. This is kind of like a similar gripe that I have with the Seleucid Empire with Silver Shield pikemen versus phalanx pikemen. It's the same dilemma with Pharaoh's Guards versus Nile Spearmen. Pharaoh's Guards is the better unit. It's 12 and 16. It's good morale, good stamina, right? Nile Spearmen does not have good morale, good stamina. However, it's a 1-turn build, and the stat difference isn't that large. 7 and 13. Pharaoh's Guards is 12 and 16. So, it's better statistically, but it's a 2-turn build. And you have to put in a lot of resources to get to army barracks. First of all, it has to be a large city. You got to get city barracks and then army barracks, whereas all you need is a large town and militia barracks to get Nile Spearmen. It's the same shit with the Silver Shield pikes. Just go with the Nile Spearmen, folks. A Nile Spearman is a unit that can take over the world and be mass produced. Continue to do that. Continue to bust out these guys everywhere. They're retrainable. That's another con to Pharaoh's Guards, is they're not going to be very retrainable. It needs an RB barracks in an occupying city. most aren't going to have that except if you're in Greece or Italy, and even then it's a shit show. So that's my 2 cents on the infantry for Egypt. So basically, what I'm getting at, in summary, militia barracks to get Nile spearmen, stables to get desert cavalry, archery range to get bowmen. Those should be really the only 3 units that you will have to recruit ever in this game. You want to play around, dicking around, I can understand armorer, chariot archers, fine, whatever. But really, realistically, if you want to try to get better at this game and really kind of focus on taking shit over quickly and just steamrolling the world, that's my advice to you. So that's going to cover the buildings and the unit roster of Egypt. So now I want to get into what to prioritize early on here with these units. First and foremost, diplomat, go down to Siwa, talk with them, get some trade. It's all well and good. And starting armies. So first thing I'll mention here is you have a skirmisher unit over south of Memphis. Disband this in Thebes. I don't like skirmishers. You don't really need it when you have so much bowmen within these armies. So go ahead and disband it in Thebes. The reason why I want it in Thebes is because Thebes, out of the Nile settlements, has the worst base farming level. So that's why I kind of want that to happen there. They all have these imports, which is why it just makes this... I mean, they all have grain. Grain is just the most OP resources of all time. But anyway, I digress. With Memphis here, you want to just put this army right in here. You're going to disband this noob. This noob will not make it in time for what we want this to do. But this bowman will become useful. Just keep it here. Let it chill. And then we'll have these folks. You can keep them here. Go up to Alexandria. This boat's going to go down. And you'll see this is a fucking insane army. Right? Keep this guy in here for a turn just because of his management. And he gets trade income bonuses. So keep him there for a turn because they're not going to be able to move out quite yet. But these folks, you can kind of just get ready to go. And you can kind of see what this army is going to be looking like. We can't move this one. But we can move these bowmen here. Can't move that one. So what we're going to be doing next turn, get this guy, and this guy, join this army, hop in the boat. And we are going to be going northwest. We have the Colossus in our sights, folks. And this army is doing jack shit. It is not going to march to Siwa. That is a waste of your goddamn time. You're going to be going right to Rhodes, get the Colossus, right to Halicarnassus, get the Mausoleum. These are going to be 2 really good settlements for you to also recruit from eventually. And then just provides a lot of trade. And then just go north, right? Sardis, Pergamum. So you're going to be at war with the Greek cities pretty early on. But who the fuck cares, guys? You're Egypt. You're going to be able to handle it. I believe in you, guys. So that's going to be the Nile settlements here for the armies. And then you have 3 more cities over here. You have Salamis, Sidon, and Jerusalem. Salamis is the island one. In my opinion here, Salamis just low tax rate it, and you can actually disband all 3 of these units. That's my recommendation. It's just upkeep, guys. It just saves you. I mean, it's going to be a hassle trying to get these units picked up, and in the meantime, you can just recruit them inside on Jerusalem anyway. So, in my opinion, just disband them, get to the town expand. We're not going to expand it this turn, because there's going to be other shit that we're going to prioritize, and we'll get to that in a second. This spy can just go right up to Damascus. This army right here, we're going to basically use all these folks, get them out of the settlement. We are going to walk over here and get ready to declare war on Damascus. Okay, and over in Sidon here, you're actually going to disband one of the skirmishers. You're going to keep the other for a reason we'll get to in a second. But just actually make sure you come down and disband it actually in Jerusalem. Because Jerusalem, I want to be a city fairly quickly. So go ahead and disband it in Jerusalem. Sidon you can actually keep at 70. There's no reason to lower this one. It's already at 6.5. It's insane. And of course, we're going to put Jerusalem to low because we want this to be a city fairly quickly. It does need a peasant, so build a peasant here. And you're going to have 4,800 gold left over here. And you're going to be building 3 important buildings on your first turn. So you're not going to be able to build buildings in every single city. That's just how it goes. But Memphis is the first thing they wanted to pay attention to. Archery range. Thebes. Militia barracks. So you're noticing in Memphis, not only is this already governor's palace, but it also has a practice range. I mean, that's insane, right? You basically have archers in 4 turns with Egypt, which is insane. And you also have like a shit ton of bowmen to start off. You have 3 over here and 2 over here. You have 5 bowmen to start off your campaign with. Make use of that. That's a really good unit to have in the early game. So taxes over here on the southern part. No reason to put this at low. Tax it. It's at 8%. I mean, the grain is insane, dude. The food imports you have with Egypt. The only settlement that does not start off with a grain resource is going to be Salamis because it can't trade with anyone. Sidon gets it through Alexandra's trade on the naval end. Jerusalem gets it from land trade to Alexandria. Memphis already has grain. And then Thebes gets it from Memphis. So it's just insane. Every single settlement will have a food import. It is just, it's madness. And you're going to have insane growth. Thebes you can put at high because you can't actually go down to very high without it getting a bit sketchy. So it's fine. But then Memphis you can put at very high as well. Sidon is going to be building a militia barracks. That's going to be your Nile Spearmen. And that's why, like I said, Salamis is just going to disband their shit because you can just get Nile Spearmen in 3 turns. And we'll get to what Jerusalem is going to be doing in the meantime as well. Something I do want to point out as well is that Memphis does start with a shrine to Horus and Thebes starts with a shrine to Set. So unfortunately at some point you'll actually want to destroy the shrine to Set. It just takes 1 turn and then build a shrine to Horus. So I want these 3 cities all to have Horus. I want Jerusalem to have Horus, Sidon to have Horus. Imhotep can be Damascus for sure. And also eventually some of these settlements, you know, out east and then bumfuck nowhere, like in the towns. Salamis, you can do Imhotep. That's a pretty good call there. But those are like kind of the temples that I want to focus on with your starting settlements at the very least. But that's that. And I'll kind of simulate the first turn here just to kind of show you what we're going to be aiming for. Because there's something that's going to happen. Oh, maybe it didn't happen this turn. Oh my gosh, that's actually crazy. Usually, this diplomat will go ahead and request trade with us and get an extra 1,200 gold. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but no worries. Salamis, of course, building a governor's villa now. This is going to build a stables in Jerusalem. We can also now go in and disband the other skirmisher. And there we go. That's going to be building a peasant. You're going to declare war on the Seleucid Empire, and we got lucky with the gates, and we can take out Damascus literally this turn. They only have the general in there. That's going to be fucking easy. And these guys now are going in the boat. Like I mentioned, they're going up to Rhodes here. Memphis is chilling. Thebes is chilling. We're going to be getting a stables here in Alexandria. So this is going to be Desert Cav. This is going to be your bowman. This is going to be your Nile Spearmen. It doesn't get much simpler than that, folks. Niles will just tear up the front line. Bowman will just massacre everyone that doesn't have armor. And Desert Cav just clean up on the flanks. It's insane. So this army alone, folks, should be able to take out Damascus no problem. And then once you move on to Damascus here, you should be able to just go straight up to Antioch with this army. It might be a difficult battle, but with some skill, with some practice, you should be able to defeat any armies kind of up here over in Antioch and take it with just this one alone. And from there on out, I would recommend just kind of stalling a bit, being like, hey, I got Sidon with the militia barracks now, Jerusalem with the stables. Start recruiting Desert Cav and Nile Spearmen to kind of reinforce this Antioch army. And then I would recommend going up north, kind of west here into Asia Minor, getting settlements like Tarsus, then go up to Pontus and take them out. And then you can kind of go in the gauntlet of Armenia. Do not worry about Palmyra, Bostra, Petra, any of these Nabatean rebel settlements here on the east or Dumatha. That's something that you can do way later in the game. The second death stack that you're going to be getting from that Jerusalem, Sidon, Antioch is going to go to Hatria and then Parthia. So those are kind of your pathways for those early game death stacks. Again, this one's going north. The second army, Sidon, Jerusalem, and Antioch produce is going to be going east. And this is kind of what you want. Jerusalem going to be recruiting either Desert Cav or Bowman, Sidon, Nile Spearmen, and Antioch either the Bowman or Desert Cav, whichever you decide. There's no wrong answer, but you can reevaluate once you take Antioch. And then down south, the second army that Alexandria, Memphis, and Thebes are going to bust out. It's going to take out Siwa, and then eventually, Cyrene, Lepsis Magna, Thapsus, Carthage, and then Sicily. That's basically the pathway to success here. Of course, this one I went over. Rhodes, Halicarnassus, Pergamum, Sardis, kind of that area here. And those are kind of what you want to shoot for in the early game with conquests. Something I'll mention as well, with Thebes and Memphis, they have like one of the most useless fucking ports in existence, and I think Bostra as well. I think Bostra has the ability to like have one port and trade with Thebes or something, but it's really fucking stupid. You'll notice here, building a port does absolutely nothing for you over in Thebes. And then Memphis, it's the same deal. They just can't trade with each other. I don't know why. It's really stupid. But that's just what it is. That's the one thing I wanted to add on these two settlements. But yeah, Egypt's a fun faction, folks. So now what I'm going to get into here is an early game army and then a late game army as Egypt, and then we'll get into pacing and what you should shoot for.
Alrighty, folks, so this is really just going to be your early comp. I mean, this is like one of the examples I gave for the armies that's taking Damascus right now. And very quickly, this will get Desert Cavalry, Nile Spearmen. But for the first couple battles, which I think are the most important battles, in taking Damascus and taking Antioch in particular, you're going to have to try to rely on this army in particular to do the job. Now, the easiest thing you have to do here is just sit back in this formation and just let the enemy come to you. You're going to have the missile attack, and you can just have the noobs sit in the front. And if you ever have trouble with generals, the good news about that is, guess what, folks? In the early game, you're going to be fighting the Seleucid Empire in the Greek cities, and those are going to have general bodyguards that are Greek. And for those who don't know, in this game, Greek general bodyguards suck. They are the worst. They're awful. They're like 11 and 10 2 hit points. And worst comes to worst, right? Your noobs can hold the line, but also you can have your chariot generals kind of come in and save the day a bit, especially if they're already preoccupied with the Nubian spearmen. That's when you can kind of use your generals here in the early game to really make a difference in these battles. And there's really going to be the only units you have to watch out for in these types of battles here is that general bodyguard unit. Militia hoplites, you can just focus fire your bowmen and archers to kill them because they have no fucking armor. Like, if you look here, it's zero armor. I guess it's a phalanx and they have a shield, but just fuck them up, guys. And this is going to be a very winnable battle for you, especially if you can focus on some hits on these bodyguards here. And also, what I will say too is this will most likely be a battle within Antioch itself, right? But guarantee you, the general's going to be doing some stupid shit. You can take advantage of it. It's the AI. You could be able to win these battles pretty easily. So that's basically an early game army, folks. Now we'll get into the late game army of Egypt. Alrighty, folks, and this is your late game army for Egypt, and it is just fucking insane. Like, it is criminal how good this stack is. The composition just works beautifully together. Your chariot generals, of course, are not a good bodyguard unit to melee the opposing general with, but it provides an archer bonus. And guess what? You have the perfect cav unit to compensate for a lack of general bodyguards on the melee, and that's Desert Cavalry. You just basically load them to one side, and then you just go for a flank, and you just win the battle every single time. Well, the Nile will just sit there, they're little, just looking pretty. They basically do nothing the whole goddamn time, and your bowmen just fire away. It's going to hit some of the infantry, most likely. Get some kills off of that, get some experience. Your generals just going to sit here and do nothing, as well as just shoot off some arrows, and you just win the campaign. There's really nothing else to it, guys. These Desert Cav units are just filthy, and they're retrainable, and you can just mass produce them, and they just conquer everything. It is a disgusting unit. Need I say more? And by the time your Desert Cav are doing their work here, maybe you have a couple infantry locking into battles with the Nile Spearmen, and by then, you just flank, and it's just GG's. So, that's going to do it, folks, for this late game army comp for Egypt. Alrighty, folks, welcome to this live stream that I did a couple months ago here, and this is where I left off. You can see here it's 257 BC, and look at how much yellow here is on the map. All of Asia Minor is secure. I've already pushed into Hattra, Susia, and Susa here. The Armenian Gauntlet is underway as well. Pontus is dead. We've taken all of Asia Minor. Greece is basically ours except for Apollonia and, you know, Bylazori here, and as well as Byzantium that's still owned by rebels. Yeah. And we've also taken out Cyrene, Siua, Lepsis Magna, and guess what? Thapsus is coming next, as well as Carthage in our sights. So yeah, look at this army comp. Basically exactly what I just said, just a shit ton of Desert Cav, Bowman, and Nile Spearmen. And that's all you need. Of course, all three of them work the best together. But if you only have 2 out of the 3, you can overcompensate. For example, on the Bowman, you don't have any missile attack, but guess what? You have your archers on the Chariot General. And you can still use the Desert Cav now a bit more heavily to win the day. If you don't have your Nile Spearmen, you only have Bowman and Desert Cav. Well, again, rely on your Desert Cav to win the day quickly as the Bowmen basically occupy the enemy infantry. And if you don't have... What's the other one I'm missing? If you don't have Desert Cavalry, you can still use your Bowmen kind of like on a typical regular army. Just kind of sit there, camp with your missile units, and let the Nile Spearmen just take all the hit of the leftover enemy infantry that does attack and survive the missile attacks. So, you see here, you know, no Bowmen except for like a unit or two here. Same thing over here, no Bowmen. But at the end of the day, we have just tons of recruitment centers all across Greece, all across Asia Minor. Antioch, I think, eventually just is building Desert Cavalry. We have Jerusalem, like I said, that Bowman, and then Nile Spearmen over in Sidon. And yeah, I mean, we know what's going on over here, right? This is just the Thebes has the Nile, Memphis has the Bowman, Alexandria has the Desert Cav. And that's the only military unit that you need in Alexandria. It's just Desert Cav, right? Just focus on economics otherwise, and you're looking fresh. Guys, this is 26 turns into the campaign. 26 turns in. And this is what we're able to achieve as Egypt. Like, it's disgusting. It's filthy. It should not be allowed. But you're chilling with infinite money and infinite economy and infinite units and just an insane army comp. And that's Egypt. That is Egypt. Let me know what you guys think. If I missed anything, let me know. Any comments, any questions, love to hear it from you guys. I like doing these guides, and hopefully you learn something at the end of the day from these guides. But that's really going to do it for this Egyptian guide, folks. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't like, don't subscribe. And I'll see you folks for the next one. Later.